Welcome everybody, this is Grandmaster Alexander Lenderman with another video. And this time it's going to be a video involving a slightly new kind of thing. By the way, I want to bring you guys to the attention of this move, Queen c2. I think it's also sort of interesting in this position. But anyway, here in knight f8, rook a b1, a5, rook b e1. Now, what in the world is this? And in this video, I want to show you guys this idea. Because normally after rook a b1, a5, you can expect to follow up with a3. But then black gets a slightly better version because, as we said, the pawns get eliminated and so on. But here, white can actually take advantage of the fact that the pawn is now on a5. And white can actually shift to a new plan, which you guys are going to see right now, is to play rook b e1. Because you have to remember that there's also a move rook a e1 here, with the idea to try to play knight e5, f4, and try to play what's called the Pillsbury attack. And you guys could try to look at games of Pillsbury, Harry Pillsbury, to try to see this idea. But rook a b1, a5, rook b e1, white claims that this is an improved version of the Pillsbury attack. Why? Because now the pawn on a5 potentially creates some weaknesses when it comes to a lot of variations. And now we're going to get a chance to see this being demonstrated. So in this game, Dreev's opponent, and Dreev is a very well-known Russian grandmaster, formerly top 10 player in the world, still a very formidable grandmaster. He's playing a young player here and in the European Championship, and black decided to play g6, and g6 is the typical plan. The idea is to try to go knight e6, knight g7, and to exchange the bishops. So let's see how white combats that plan. In the game, white played knight e5, which is logical. He wants to follow up with f4. Black played here, and after bishop h4, black played knight g7. All seems very logical, right? And now white played the move queen b3. Interesting. What's the idea of that? Well, the idea is simple. Black wants to play bishop f5, try to equalize. White simply says not so quickly, my friend, because now f5 is not advisable because the b7 pawn is hanging. And now the difference is black cannot really play queen b6 very easily because, well, he can't do it at all right now because the pawn is now on a5. And you see now this hole on b6 is somewhat of a problem now for black. So therefore, that's the main idea. In all these lines now, the fact that there's a pawn on a5 now creates a lot of disharmony, a lot of inconvenience for black. So queen c7 was played, and now rook c1. Once again, it's a threat. White wants to go bishop takes f6, followed by knight takes d5. Queen d6 was played. And now knight a4, there it goes. If the pawn was on a7, probably there would be nothing special for white here. But as it is, after knight a4, black's dealing with some problems. So queen b4, black tried to exchange. But now here it comes, knight b6, takes, and the knight is very good on b6 now. Rook a7. Otherwise, if rook b8, bishop g3, and the rook might be in trouble there. Rook a1. And just simply now attacking the potential target on the pawn on a5. h6, knight takes c8, rook takes c8, and now knight g4. Black had to take because both f6 and h6 is attacked. And after takes, b6, bishop h4, g5, bishop g3, rook e7, rook c1, h5. Well, white's just clearly much better. Not only he has two bishops, but also black has a weakened pawn structure, in particular the pawn on c6. So white played h4, opening up the game even more. Now black's pawn structure is even more weak. And the rest is a mop-up. Black tries to go for desperate counterplay with knight takes e3, but it doesn't work out because after bishop a6, rook a8, bishop b7, rook a7, bishop f2, white's able to maintain his extra piece, and then soon he mops up the game. Well, black resigned because white's up a piece and two bishops, and the pawn on d4 really nothing to play for anymore. The pawns are easily going to be stopped on the queen side by the bishops, so it's hopeless position. Black resigned. All right, Next game I want to show you guys is one of my games, and that's one of my better games I've ever played, at least from a positional standpoint of view. And in this game, white played rook b e1. And again, we got the same position, and I played rook b1, g6, knight e5, knight d7. So my opponent decided to try to exchange pieces right away. And so I take, and play f4. And also the idea is, if black plays f6, I go back, and I don't have to worry about the e3 pawn. So that's why rook ae1 is very important, to defend the e3 pawn in that case. So black played f5, h3, knight e6, king h2, knight takes e5, d takes e5, d4, knight a4, de, knight b6, rook b8, rook takes e3. And now, once again, I got this nice grip on the b6 square. There's the difference. Queen c5, takes, rook c1, knight takes d3, rook takes d3, bishop e6, rook d1, king f7, rook d6. And I have a very solid advantage. I didn't play it perfectly. I actually maybe gave my opponent some chances to equalize. But anyway, like here maybe bishop d5 at some point was playable, but he never did, and once I got the king in the game, it's already tough for him. And now eventually I convert. My opponent was at time pressure, he desperately tried to create counterplay, and then later on I won the game. So this was a game I won against a very strong player, just like that, almost without sound. Why? Because nice opening idea, sometimes it's hard to react to it. This game is a game between Boris Essen and Korbov. And even though Korbov won this game, but it was not because of the opening. And I wanted to show you guys an idea for white here. So again, white played this rook e1 idea. Black played bishop e6. Here black's just trying to play solidly. I think, to be honest, that might be the best way to play for black here. Knight e5, knight d7, takes, and f4, f6. So first he gets the bishop out and then f6. And then trying to get the bishop to f7. I think black might be okay here, although I would still prefer white. And let's see how white played in this game. White played g4, c5, queen f2, queen c7, h4. So here, white wants to go for a typical attack on the king side, using the fact that black's pieces are a little bit passive. Black, of course, tries to create counterplay, but notice even here, had the pawn been on a7, this b5 would not be a weak square, but now it is. So you see how this whole idea becomes much more effective when rook b1, a5 is included. Rook c8, king h1, cd, ed, queen f4, rook takes, and now I think after knight g1, white is clearly better, because the knight's going to be well placed, going back on e2, and I mean, white's pieces are better, the pawn structure dictates that the bishop is better than the opponent's bishop, the knight on f8 is passive, and concretely queen takes g4 doesn't work because of bishop e2, and black's forced to give up an exchange to save the queen. And black's pieces are kind of not so good to be able to create counterplay against slightly weakened king of white's. So because of that, I mean, black's kind of forced to go queen takes f2, but then after that, rook e3, rook f3, rook e1, king g2. White consolidates and is clearly better, because black just doesn't have very well-placed pieces. So that would be really good for white. Instead he played knight h2, still better for white. Takes. Notice how the pawn on f5 is very important because it gains space, which restricts black's pieces. It's not so much to attack, it's at some point to force black to trade queens, but then in reality it's more of a positional idea. So like the pawn movement is not always a tactical idea, sometimes it's also a positional idea. And of course this pawn structure is not advisable for black. Knight b8, that was a good move, trying to reposition the knight. And now maybe knight f3 was a better idea. After knight c6, king g2, and trying to get the king to f4. And again, I think white's better. But possibly, okay, white's a lower rated player and maybe he wanted to play it really safe. Actually, in reality, it turned out it helps black a lot, because now, after this, black's able to free himself with g6. Whereas with the rook on f2, g6 would be a problem because of the pawn on f6. And after bishop b5, knight e7, fg, bishop takes g6, h5, bishop f7, king g2, f5, gf, knight takes, bishop d3, knight e7. This game is already very unclear. h6, knight e6. And of course now here white just made a silly blunder and allowed knight f4, and black won the game like this. But as you can see, the opening was actually triumphal for white in this game. So, I think white did well in this game in terms of the opening. And finally, I wanted to see one last game here for this video. And that is a game by Moradiabadi with white. And here in this game, it's from the Olympiad back in 04. Rook b1, and black played a quickly knight e4, which is also a typical idea, trying to trade the bishops off. And in this case, again, after bishop takes e7, even a position like this, I think, is, let's say after queen takes e7, even a position like this, I think, is favorable for white because, again, this is a weakness. But not this, though. This I don't like as much, because after f5, f3, takes. Here I think this is not as clear. Here I think black's more or less fine. But not to mention there's also an interesting move, b6 here, trying to take advantage of the fact that this rook is a little bit trapped in some cases. Also a move like in this case after f5, if you try to go knight a4 right away, bishop e6, that's also not so clear. I've actually had a game like this once with white against lower rated. It was not very convincing, so I recommend if you do take on e7, play knight d2. But I actually like the way Moradiabadi played. He took on e4. And okay, the simple idea is if de, then of course knight takes e4 protects the bishop so that white wins a pawn here. So he took here, knight takes, queen takes, f4, queen f6, bishop d3. So he's still trying to play on the king's side, and again, black's having a little bit of a hard time developing his pieces. And I think the opening was a success for white here as well. Black played b5, trying to stop knight a4, but now c6 in some cases will be weak. White played f5, restricting black's pieces, b4, and now white played knight d1, which is interesting. I think after knight a4, white is probably also somewhat better, because he gets the c5 square. Knight d1, bishop a6, knight f2, knight d7, which was inaccurate. It looks like a logical move, but concretely it's inaccurate. And now after takes, if white just played e4, queen takes d4, ed, looks like white's better. The tactics actually work in black's favor. So let's say takes, queen takes d5, only move, rook d1 then. And then the knight hangs. Because of queen c5, takes rook d8. So that's the problem. And cd, of course, queen c8, rook hangs. And otherwise, black's really in trouble here. And if de, one move that comes to mind is a move like queen c4, threatening the rook. And then the idea is knight takes e4, capturing back, the queen has to move, and it's awkward. Possible there's something even better. But queen d3 was played, and after c5, takes, queen takes, rook e5, queen c4, h5, e4. Rook a8, black actually got good compensation. Queen e2, rook e8, queen f3, queen b6, king h1. And the game ended up being a draw. But I think that white had chances here also. And again, these are, I think, the best ways that we're looking at for black to play. So I think no matter what black does, it seems like white has some kind of a pool. At least the play is live. White definitely has interesting play no matter what. Of course, after a move like a5, the traditional move a3 is playable, and we've even seen a game like that, but black has certainly chances here. But certainly, I like the idea of rook b1, a5, rook b1. I think it's very original, trying to disturb black's harmony. And I wanted to show you guys this concept because I think it's very interesting, very underrated, and could lead to some interesting play. And rook b1 first, because you're waiting to see what black does. If black plays traditionally, then you just go with your minority attack. And so that's simple enough, right? In the next videos, we're going to see some unorthodox concepts from the white side of a Queen's Gambit decline. We're going to see some slightly different structures, still Carlsbad, but slightly different structures. We're going to see some attacking chances, and we're gonna start seeing some unusual things. Until next time, this has been Grandmaster Alexander Lenderman signing off. Take care.